This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Friday, everybody. I got my man Mike Mikulik back on the show today. 30 minutes isn't going to be enough. We're going to cover a lot right now, and then we're going to be done, and we're going to say we should have covered so much more out there. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining me here this morning.
No problem, man. Always happy to be out here. I'm looking forward to our barbecue lunch later on.
I know, Caldwell County Barbecue, Gilbert, Arizona. That is where you guys need to come. Seriously, if you're ever in Phoenix, come to Caldwell County Barbecue. Outside of Texas, it's the best barbecue I've had in my life.
Poor Mike Lynn can't believe that the best barbecues in Arizona when he's a Texan. So
yeah, he's going to be sadly let down that Texas isn't number one anymore. So, Mike, what, today's topic, like obviously there's a lot of changes that are continuing to happen. Like I think right now in the market, we're starting to see a difference in how the market's been performing overall. There's obvious rate increases, and anytime pricing goes up out there, I think there's a little bit of excitement. But I think with brokers managing their cash flow and showing that they're financially solvent, like how do you really position yourself right now?
I don't know. I worry about the small brokers that are living in a paycheck to paycheck kind of world here, and they're one bad debt away, one stolen load away from being in financial trouble. I think financial security right now is a huge thing, and I think sometimes people take it for granted, but I think now it's something that's have to be on the radar for people.
Yeah, I mean, I look at a lot of that too. Is stolen loads, all of this stuff, unpaid claims, because it's not just like the brokers who are at risk here. Shippers go out of business too. Shippers don't pay claims as well. And I see a world here sooner than later where I don't know if you're gonna have to show your balance sheet, but like there's going to be a deeper dive into your credit worthiness as a broker and your financial stability as a broker to even move freight, because the risks they're coming at it from every single direction right now.
Absolutely. And I don't think shippers are really asking that question about financial security, but it's something that should definitely be on their radar, and it should be something that's asked. It has to be.
Yeah. I just don't see how, because it's like, as somebody who's coming out here and trying to build their business up, you're managing your cash flow. That's been the hardest lesson I think I've learned. On the business side of things, I think operationally it's systems development and everything else, but operationally it's managing your cash flow and really managing the float is what it boils down to. Because, especially right now when, rates go up and there's any changes out there, days to pay might start to bleed. And it's like, you got to pay your carriers in 30 days. And in this market, when capacity starts to tighten up and when drivers can be selective, they're not going to haul your freight if you're not going to pay them for 45 days.
I think you're seeing a lot of carriers now be very conscious about who they're dealing with as a broker. And that's where that relationship is completely key. And I think carriers are very selective with the brokers that they're actually dealing with. And I think it's a good thing though.
Yeah, no, I do too. Right. Cause I think like the way that the market has performed these last 4 years, capacity has been loose. It's been a broker's market through and through. Shippers have had their pick of, there's been very minimal service disruptions. We'll just say that
for sure,
outside of stolen loads and stuff. But like nobody has had freight sitting on their dock for multiple days over these last 4 years. And I think with what you're seeing out there right now, this is that opportunity that a lot of individuals like myself who, when I started in January of 2023 with 0 customers, I was expecting this to happen in 2024. And now that we are, almost midway through 2026 now, and I'm not convinced yet that this is going to continue for the foreseeable future. There's still a lot kind of riding, I think, on where fuel prices are trending. But I look at it now is like, you need to be able to work with cost, like as a broker, you got to be able to manage your cash flow at a level, because if you can't afford to stay in business right now, like this is why I'm such a proponent of the agent model for a lot of businesses, but let alone those ones who are starting off and, that $0 to $10 million range, like having that financial backing, because what if your bank doesn't approve your line of credit?
Totally.
Then what? You're not gonna be able to take on freight?
No. And the other thing is technology costs are through the roof as well,
Yeah.
too. And it was absolutely clear, even at the opening session of the TAA, about the 3 key things. I think Lynn was talking about the 3 key things that are going to hit us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, we're starting to see a lot of that now, but technology, you need technology, or else, you're one stolen load away from, being in financial ruins.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you need to have processes in place, and those processes cost money because it's technology is involved.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is it's like the amount of, because I look at it for me, when you're vetting a carrier, like obviously I'm a massive proponent of using the same people time and time again. That's the only tried and true method to minimize fraud. Is just like when you have those right carriers, continue to keep them fed. Like I practice what I preach. I just pulled up my email before the show. One of our guys who runs Arizona to Utah for us is already pre-booked for us for Tuesday, right? Like we use this guy all the time. There's that peace of mind that comes along with that. And, again, we've had service disruptions with them, but guess what? We found out 24 hours in advance, hey, I'm having truck problems. I might not be down there in time. If you got to recover it, you got to recover it. But I look at it where I know that guy, he's done probably 75 loads for us in the past year. Like we're bought in. There's that trust that's there. There's that comfort of when he shows up to my shipper, it's a legitimate operation.
I love it though. I love hearing this though, Chris, because I think the relationship with the carrier has to be just as strong as the relationship you have with your shipper.
Yeah.
It's totally key. And you know what? And working on one and done carriers where you're using the same lane, using one carrier one time, but next time you get the same load, you're using a different carrier. It long term, it's not good.
Yeah.
Something's gonna happen.
No, your exposure at that point, Mike, where it's like, I would love to see the data. And I should ask some of these guys who are here who work on the fraud and stolen load side of things, like how much of that is one-off carriers, and then on top of that, how many of them fall into the digital transaction where it was all booked via email, it was the book it now, how much of that leads to cargo theft? And I would love to see the data behind that, because I think that is all it's going to take for most operations to change their ways, because it's like when you have a direct 80% of your freight is stolen through this transaction, and if you continue to do that, and you don't change your ways, like you deserve to go out of business at that point.
I agree. I think it's a relationship thing. And you know what? You're going to get consistent pricing. Are you always going to get the best rate for that lane if you utilize the same carrier? Not all the time, but utilize that spot market and a spot carry for, one time, and the next time using a different one. Long term, the strategy, you'll make more money, but long term strategy, you're in for a world of headache. You're one transaction away from having a problem.
Yeah.
And it affects your relationship with your shipper too.
Yeah. With their shipper, with your shipper, and then the receiver, which is their customer. Like, and that's another thing too, where call it ignorance, or I was just never connecting the dots, early on in my career. It's like, or, to be honest, it was because most of the books of businesses that I had developed, I was an employee. So like my mindset's completely different now that I'm the one who's building it up, and it's my ass on the line if something happens, right? It's a lot different. And I'm going about this and I'm looking at every single load that we're doing now. And I'm like, all right, everybody out there has competition. It's not just brokers, right? Mm-hmm. Every single industry, whether it's your food manufacturer that's out there, they're not the only food manufacturer who can do that product for the end, So it's like when you're looking downstream like that, how you transport their products is a direct reflection on if that company is going to even buy from your customer ever again. And if you're out there and you're booking knowingly shady operations where you're like, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to go with them because they're the cheapest truck, you're putting their business at risk too. So it's like, that's why people filter through service providers.
But I think shippers need to start asking that question of brokers. What's your carrier vetting process? Do you have committed carriers on these lanes that you can actually handle my business? And a lot of them, I've actually heard shippers actually ask, like, how much of my stuff is going to go on a load board?
Yeah.
Versus with a contracted carrier that you actually have a relationship with. And I love hearing that question because it's an easy segue into exactly how we onboard and vet carriers.
Yeah.
And we're looking for that long-term partnership with them. And I think shippers need to do more asking those tough questions to brokers.
Yeah. And it's the truth, right? Because it's like, one of our customers now that, they got multiple facilities across the United States. And, we were primarily working with our one facility here in Arizona. And then now we just got access to another one up in Oregon. And I'd reached, because like they're like, hey, you're set up with that facility now. Go reach out to them. And I've reached out. I reached out to them. The first thing they said is please don't bring us ghost capacity. Make sure you have an actual truck for these loads. And I'm like, all right, that's fair, right? And I think that you as a broker and a sales rep taking that open and honest approach, where it's like, hey, these are the lanes that we're the strongest on. I think that's I'm not going to say it's the fastest way to get new business, Mike, but I think it's the most honest way that you can go out there and build your book of business when you're like, hey, we're strong in this region. And I mean, that's how I'm developing new business right now. When I'm prospecting companies and I'm calling them, I'm only talking to them about their West Coast facilities because that's where we're the strongest.
And I think shippers actually ask that question. Where are you strong at? Where are you weak at? And people will say, oh, I'm strong everywhere. That's baloney, man.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
We all got certain areas that we're strong at and own it. Like, hey, I'm strong here. I'm not good here. And that's fine. The shipper is going to respect your honesty and being open about it.
Yeah. And I just, I don't know. I look at it, the word relationship, you mentioned it a lot and you abide by this though, but it's like, it's thrown out there a lot, but I think it's very subjective in a lot of people's minds where it's like, oh, it's a relationship when I'm winning. I need to trademark the term selective capitalist, Mike, because I think there's a lot of selective capitalists in the brokerage community who don't think drivers actually deserve a higher rate out there. They think they're the only one, but they're posting those for $1 a mile with a straight face and saying that's the market.
Right. No, I love that term. You use it loosely, the relationship. I'm a huge component of relationships, and you know what? Relationships, they don't happen overnight. They all take time.
Yeah.
And you know what? Anytime you go into a shipper, and if a shipper is going to give you all their business, I would actually question why.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're not going to pay you, or maybe they're having their own issue. But you know what? No shipper is going to give you his biggest lane right off the bat. He doesn't know who you are.
No, and that's it, right?
And don't ask for it.
Yeah.
Like go small. Start with something. Hey, prove yourself. But that relationship over time, you'll get more business.
No.
Some of our best agents have started off with a customer where they're doing 1 or 2 small lanes. And you know what? Look at 5, like Colette, for instance.
Yeah.
And 5 years later, all of a sudden she has all their business. She's like, it just happened naturally. Exactly. Because they like you, they trust you, and the relationship's there.
Do you think people force building with customers? And what I'm talking about is like force more market share with their customers. They try and force it as opposed to letting it come along naturally. Because, I look at the best partnerships that I have, like I'm very fortunate to have the advertisers that I do on the show. And, like with you guys in particular, you guys have been with me now for almost 4 years, right?
And look at the relationship from that.
And that's it, right? Like it started off at one point and it's built up from there. And I think like, as somebody who's built a couple of companies now from scratch, you want the financial results a lot sooner. And from that, like you put yourself in a bad position. I think you're exposing yourself a lot more because not all, and this comes with time, this comes with experience, Mike, not all revenues created equally.
Yeah.
And when you have that, and you got to understand, like, all right, this is going to take time. We're going to build this up. And I think like when you can accept that this is a marathon, when you're building up a book of business, like you don't burn through customers as fast with that mentality, because it is the word relationship to me is mutually beneficial, not just I win. Everybody in this transaction has to win. And as a broker, I got to win. Shipper has to win. Carrier has to win. And if you can't come to that conclusion, you might have been able to get away with it in a loose capacity market, but it's not going to fly here if this continues.
Relationships are a natural process, though. They can't be forced.
Yeah.
Some take longer than others as well, too.
Yeah.
And I mean, the connection phase, people do. Like I laugh at the whole thing with relationship because you can't go to school to actually understand how to build a relationship. You have it in you, right? You got to be genuine. You got to be honest. You got to have integrity. But they take time.
Yeah. And I was talking with my friend Harmon this morning, and him and I were talking. I'm like, people need to, I wish they would teach people to learn how to network, because it's like we come to conferences out there. Some people go to every single conference, and it's like you walk around with your head down, at 4 o'clock you're at the bar and you're not actually learning. And then you go away from it and you're like, oh, I got a couple of cards and I got all these leads. And it's like, I think networking is almost like a profession. Like you got to treat it like a profession, because it's like when you're going to come to some of these things, you got to maximize your ROI. You got to come, you got to meet, because again, you're only one conversation away from changing the entire trajectory of your business.
Right. And it's just an opening conversation. Even after you leave the conference, it's a huge process to actually take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of business cards that function like this at the TIA. And then, you'll go back and you basically have to replant those seeds for those conversations. So you meet so many different people.
Yeah. Do you like, what has been some of the most effective relationship building tactics or networking tactics that you've utilized? I mean, you've worked in sales for the entirety of your career.
Well, I think in sales, I mean, the first thing you have to realize is you're not the one that's supposed to be doing all the talking.
Mm-hmm.
You got to ask questions. You got to be a better listener. I think listening's key, and asking the right questions, not a question where it's like, that's going to result in a yes or no answer, but using like opening questions like how, why, what, like get them to explain themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those questions are powerful, and showing an interest and truly listening. Everyone wants to share their story, wants to share what they do at whatever company they're. People naturally want to talk and they want to be listened to. So go in there with the mindset where you're not doing all the talking. Just ask good questions, be genuinely interested, and have in your mind that I'm going to learn something from this conversation with the person I'm talking to.
How did you get to that point? Because it's like, I look at a lot. I really started to lean into this, hosting this show,
Right.
Because I'm like, if I'm doing all the talking, I'm bad at interviewing, right? Like
Totally.
I gotta plant that up there. I gotta get people rolling in that regard. So it's like, how do you formulate that? Are you reading the prospect? Are you just coming in with like 5 questions beforehand because you've researched that prospect, you have an idea about what you were going to do?
Well, I think anytime you go on a sales call, in your mind, you have to have, the things you want to come out of, and you write them down, like things I want to get out of this meeting. Like, and obviously want to understand, their volume, their lanes, their challenges. So have that formula in your mind, but it doesn't mean you come in there right away with your list of questions and start rambling off on that. Get to know the person a bit, understand the business. Like, I mean, the biggest thing is people want to share what their company does, what they do for the company, how they're motivated, how the reward. Actually, this is a key question too. How are they rewarded? Like, how do they find success in the role that they have?
Yeah.
Like, how is their performance measured?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. People want to share that.
What do you advise on when you're leading in with a first time contact, right? First cold call. Because I think like what you're saying is right, but it's like, I think some people lead it. It's like almost like I use the analogy using like asking somebody to get married on the first date, right? How many people go in with a kill shot right away as opposed to like building up, because again, there's a lot of synergies between long-term relationships and partnerships, and like, but actually understanding where you're at in the sales process, I think is a very overlooked component of this.
I love this in the back of my mind when especially if you're talking to somebody new and you're just being inquisitive about their business. You got to go in there with the inquisitive mind that, this customer or the shipper may not be a good fit for me, and I may not be a good fit for them. And if you actually tell the customer, I'm just trying to understand if there's a fit there for both of us. And when you say it breaks down so many guards with the shipper, because the shipper is expecting you to tell them that you're the best at what you do, you're gonna have the best rates. Like, that's all BS.
Yeah.
But if you actually go in, I'm just being inquisitive to understand your business, and I may not be the right fit for you, but I'd like to take this. Can you give me a couple minutes just to kind of explore with you?
Yeah.
See if it's a fit. And if it's not a fit, I'm not going to try to sell you something that's not going to work for you.
How do you remove the emotion of the inevitable no in that situation then?
For them saying no?
Yeah. If you call somebody and they're like, no, because I mentally that's what stops a lot of people from progressing out there in business development.
Don't push. I mean, somebody says no, what else can you say when they say no? Yeah. But I think if you go in there and you, because the first thing when you talk to a new shipper or you're making a cold call, their back's up right away. The first thing they know what you're doing. They probably had 20 other phone calls as well too. So you got to set yourself apart as different.
Yeah.
I try to just break down that guard. Like, hey, you know what? You probably had tons of calls. I go, I'm not trying to say, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
And I go, and you know what? If you're not interested, that's totally fine as well too. But if you give me a couple minutes just to ask a few questions and try to see if there's a potential for us to talk further, I would love the opportunity to do that. But be sincere about it too.
The most simple way that I found it is, and this is some people are probably going to roll their eyes with it, is knowing what they actually ship. Know the product that they actually ship. That to me is the biggest thing when you're calling somebody. And again, you're just, because like my whole strategy is I'm just calling to introduce ourselves. Hey, you move this product. Is it done this way? Is it unloaded that? Like it's something operationally to like, all right, this person did more than your typical.
You have
I just want to
research before you make any phone call. And to be honest with you, I hate cold calling. Like cold calling sucks.
It does.
Like it's not.
There's
fun.
There's no other way to put it.
I try to do anything I possibly can to avoid that.
Yeah.
You know what I work on? I work on my connections. I think we talked about this at Rendezvous too. you know what? Talk to your network of friends. Tell them what you do. Like
Yeah.
we talked about our short story. Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, I think Daryl actually talked about like have your short story so that you can explain it in 30 seconds what you do. But tell your friends what you do and ask them, hey, do you know anybody that could possibly be a potential opportunity for me to go at? Because a warm introduction is going to go a lot further than a cold call.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden you tell me, hey, Mike, you got to go talk to ABC company, and I talked to ABC company and said, hey, Chris Gerald, oh, yeah, you know Chris? Yeah. There's a warm introduction right there. Those are the best ways to network and to grow your business.
Yeah. I agree. I think that we overcomplicate what we're actually trying to do, you know, like really. And I think it's like knowing knowing your pitch, knowing that 30-second, like this is, and you have to be able to explain it in 30 seconds or less. And, you know, because I interviewed Daryl, the interview is going to be out here, got it recorded.
Cool guy, man.
Dude, I know. And like, it was crazy is him and I were, you know, on the, when he was telling his story, because we went a little bit more on his personal, when he was growing up. And I'm like, dude, we're the same man, just different backgrounds, right? Like his story of his upbringing, eerily similar to mine. And, you know, but like very rarely do I hear somebody speak and I'm like completely captivated, or there's one thing that I'm taking away from their message. And with Daryl in particular it was, what are you actually trying to do? And I'm like, I've never actually stopped to think, what is it about my pitch that isn't working? You know, so it's like, I've taken a long time. You know, I came up with
hard,
it is.
It's hard.
It is. And because he was out there and he was like, he had no idea about transportation. And he's like, if you can't get somebody to understand what you do in 30 seconds or less, it does not matter the industry, you are going to fail as a sales rep.
Right.
Especially if it's a cold introduction. You have to, and they better be able to have a base level understanding or be able to draw some parallel to connect the dots.
What I liked about him too is his whole way of speaking was two things. He's genuine and he's sincere. And I think all of us can take a lesson from that.
Yeah.
When we share like what we do with our friends, we got to be passionate. We got to be sincere. We got to be genuine about it.
Yeah.
If we're not excited about what we do, you're not going to get someone else to be excited about it.
No, I agree. I agree with that, Mike. It's like, if you don't believe you, no one's going to believe you.
Right.
And, you know, and I think like that was one of those things early on, you know, starting out on my own, you know, learning media, you know, building a media company. I had no media because I had no podcast.
I love your startup stories.
I had none of that. Right. But I watched YouTube and I figured it out. But, you know, and one of those things about with my show, yes, I understand I curse on my show. I get it. But my intent
was curse outside the show.
No, I know. But my intent was never to cut anybody down with it. Right. It's just like the flow of conversation. And I think like that's a big thing. What is your intent? When you're calling somebody, when you're prospecting somebody, if your intent is only for you to win, that comes out in your pitch, right? Like, honestly, when I'm calling people, I know that there's a probability that might not be a fit. Right. That's fine. My intent is like, all right, if it's not a fit, is it ever going to be a fit? And if it is, when is that window? How do I respectfully stay in front of you to where you don't roll your eyes every single time I reach out?
Exactly. It's a mindset you have to have. And like, same thing. Be genuine, be yourself.
Yeah.
When we're natural in ourselves, people buy into that. But if we're scripted or we're being fake, people read into it.
So I want to ask a little bit more about the agent side here,
sure,
Mike, because that's, I think, more and more of a possibility for a lot of people now. Like it's becoming more and more well publicized about the agent experience. What do you think that individual who, you know, maybe they're at a different agency or they're a sales rep right now, and they're like, I want to try this out. How do they look, or how do they make themselves more appealing to somebody like yourself who talks to a lot of people?
Man, like, what do I look for?
Yeah. Like, what are you looking for in that individual where it's like, I think this person could, you know, they could make it out there?
They got to believe in themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's like, you know, a sales rep working for a salary company, or even if they're an agent, you know what, that part about making a change is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it is hard. Even moving your agency from one agency to another agency, that's a lot of work. There's a fear factor in that. You got to talk to your customers. Your customer will be like, well, why are you leaving? Well, this is the reason I'm leaving. What about the company you're going to? Like, you're selling it all over again. Yes, you have that relationship. You can be open and honest with your customers, but it's a fear factor. And someone coming from a salaried sales role, all of a sudden they're getting something every 2 weeks in their bank account, and all of a sudden you're leaving and you're basically betting on yourself. It's fear factor. It's a fear factor. But some people that have just push it aside and be like, I'm doing this. I believe in myself. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear the go-getters, that they believe in themselves, that they can actually do it.
What are some of those things that you see in some of those conversations where you're like, I don't want to say that these guys can't have it, but like, it's clear that they should probably stay in like under a W-2 role?
Well, I ask them. The first thing I'm going to start talking about is how much financial security do you have to run this for 6 months?
Yeah.
With the intent that you may not make nothing in 6 months.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Starting from scratch and trying to build something, you got to give yourself 6 months to a year.
Minimum.
You may get lucky.
Yeah.
Right. And even if you have customers with the company that you're currently at, and you can take those customers, I hear that all the time. I could come on right away and I'm going to bring all this business on. It takes them months.
Yeah.
It's a process now for customers to come on.
Yeah.
And a lot of the larger customers now, they have processes to bring on new brokers or carriers into their network too.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. So you got to be paid. They have to have the financial security to let themselves run for a few months before things start happening.
Yeah. I don't know if enough people understand that, Mike, that it's extremely expensive to be an independent of anything, right? Independent agent, entrepreneur. It's very expensive and money goes quick. Like
Start up an LLC. Like, I mean, yes, it can be done quickly, but
yeah, no, I know, but like financial stability in your business. Like, I mean, when I first started 6 years ago, I mean, I didn't make money for the first 15 months. I was in business. I broke even after a year, and it was, and then we grew in everything else for the media stuff. But like this last freight cycle, like, trust me, I thought we were going to be way farther ahead than we currently are. And, again, but we've grown year over year. We've had that early success. But to your point, if we didn't have the money, we would have had to have folded up, right? Because it's like the results aren't instant, right? Even if you have an established book of business, the more complex it is to move your customers' freight, the more complex it's going to be to move them, i.e., do they use EDI? Do they have a third-party billing?
Yeah.
Do they have all, think of that?
And that takes time.
Yeah.
And trying to get your shipper to sign a contract and have it go through their legal department, that could be months.
Dude, that's it, right? Like we just talked to a new prospect. We had everything done. We sent everything over. And then, our legal internally redlined a couple of things. We sent it over. They're like, you're probably not going to hear anything back from our team for like 2 to 3 months. Yeah. Just prepare yourself. And we're like, huh. Okay. But that's the thing though, right? Is when the more complex it is, lawyers, everything else, things takes time. And to your point, if you don't have the cash in your bank account to float that 90 day, 120 day period, because like, trust me, your wife, if your spouse, whoever, you're going to be wearing you out. Hey, why is there no money coming in? Why is there no money coming in? Our bank account's down. Then it's a very real stress that most people don't comprehend when the sun's out and they're getting a direct deposit every 2 weeks.
And there are agents that have come on board that have given up and gone back to a salaried role just because they can't make it financially. And they would have made phenomenal agents.
Yeah.
They just needed a few more months, but they didn't have the cash flow to run it. And I think you got to look at it from that side as well too. No. Yes, you got to believe in yourself. So for sure, 100%. If you believe in yourself, you can do it. That's huge, right? And you're gonna bet on yourself, and what you kill is what you eat, and you accept that. That's one thing. But having the financial runway to at least last a few months on this thing, and go in the mindset, I may not pull in money for the first 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, it's a very real thing, and it's a very real stress, and I that's one layer that I don't know if most people are cut out for it.
No.
And there's times where I even double fucking question some things, right? Because it's like, it's very stressful. It's very stressful. And it's you have to be able to be mentally prepared for that.
And put into the fact that you have, I hear it all actually. Like, you got a family, you got kids, or you're just going right now and you're buying a house and you don't want to make the leap to be an agent because you need your past work experience and your past the company you work for in order to get a mortgage. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
And I get it. And you know what? I don't push agents. You cannot push an agent to make a change. It's got to be the right fit for them. The timing's got to be right, and listen to their story. And you know what? Encourage them. But at the same time too, timing's got to be right.
No, I agree with that. And I think like that's, again, we're really talking about the financial solvency of the broker. I know we're already at time here as it always happens, Mike. But it's the truth, right? And I want people to think about that. I'm never going to sit here and tell anybody don't take the leap, but look at it a little bit further than the surface level where most people do, right? Like, they look at the Instagram reel, 30 seconds, somebody out, you're going to be a millionaire in 30 days and everything else. And then they make life altering decisions that they shouldn't have.
Totally. But when you still look at it, the agency model is a license to print money.
It is.
Like, you do not have to, like, think about it. Yes, you're betting on yourself for your paycheck. That's it. You're not having to put out an outlay of technology costs or running a line of credit. It's your own business, and we do it all. All you have to do is bet on yourself.
No, and that's it.
And you know what? That chance to own your own business through an agency model. I mean, some of these agents are making money that they probably never ever dreamed of in their life.
Yeah. No, and
they have no risk.
No, it's the truth. Is you have no risk in it, and then on top of that too, it's for me, it really gives you an understanding about how business really works.
Yeah.
Because like when you're in a system, you're working for a company, you're in a system, you don't think about things because it's like but now when you're out there on your own as an agent, you are a lot deeper into how the business actually works, because moving freight's just such a small component of the entire life cycle of these transactions, right? So it's like, from my perspective, for you to go out there on your own like that, get involved in that and understanding how the business actually operates, from a credit perspective, insurance, claims, all of that, it's going to set you up for success in ways that you have no idea early on.
Totally. The big thing I'm looking at right now, and I think there's a massive market for us, for SPI, to partner up with certain 3PLs that are on the smaller side.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, technology, you need technology now, and technology costs money.
Yep.
And a lot of these smaller 3PLs are still running it the old-fashioned way or with limited technology.
Yeah.
I want to talk to people like that. I want to help them grow their business, be able to scale their business, and give them the technology that they need, while at the same time too keeping their company name.
Yeah.
And just utilizing SPI as a back office support team. And I think there's a big market for it.
I do too, Mike. We'll have to have another episode on that.
Oh yeah.
I think we can do that for sure. But that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Ayy, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the bag. Ayy, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast.